Hey guys, this is the Anime Cast.
For this episode, let's address the elephant in the room. Attack on Titan.
Attack on Titan is definitely the hugest anime right now, at the time of recording this at least.
Sasha, why don't you address what you like about it first?
Yep, okay.
Yeah.
So, coming to the main crux of Attack on Titan, we thought it was really cool that the whole anime made such big news in the first place. Let's just agree on the fact that it has some amazing animation.
That is true. That is absolutely true. I think apart from the 5-year hiatus that they took in between, but I think it absolutely picked up all of its fans right back on.
Yep.
And fun fact, as usual,
Professor Oak moment.
Yeah, Professor Oak moment. So Attack on Hajime Isayama actually had taken Attack on Titan to my favorite weekly publishing Shonen Jump. So apparently it was turned down because there's too much gore in it and he didn't want to change the story. So he went to their competitor Kodansha and got it published. And now Shonen Jump is having a moment. But then, as usual, I trust them. I'm on board with them still.
If it's not clear enough already, Professor Oak is a huge fan of Shonen Jump.
I am. I'm a huge fan.
Okay, but talking about more on the point that it was able to pick the fans back up even after the hiatus.
Yes.
Considering that is the case, you know that the story has something that everyone wants to keep coming back to, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, I have to agree that I think it subverted all the expectations from the beginning.
Yep.
And I mean, when I first watched it in season 1, I actually liked it because I was a preppy teen that time. But like when I rewatched it before season 2, I just felt like, oh my god, this is pretty boring. But I honestly, the way I expected the story to play out, I really expected some really stupid motivations to come up later in the series, but it totally subverted all of those expectations. So
okay, also I think it's important to note that this will be a completely spoiler-free podcast episode. For the anime watchers, we will be discussing about several themes that come up until season 4 part 1 completely, but we're not going to be spoiling anything from the manga, so don't worry. And for people who haven't caught up on Attack on Titan the anime, please do expect spoilers from the anime. So
yes.
Yep.
Absolutely. Because how do you talk about Attack on Titan without spoilers? Come on. Yeah, so you tell me, which part of it do you really like?
Yeah, so there is something about the plot that kept people coming back to this. So I just wanted to emphasize on that whole thing about the whole plot of Attack on Titan that made it the big phenomenon that it is. And what really personally caught me was the fact that each season had this theme, first, even with the change in the MC, Eren himself has different qualities and characteristics each season, which is a reflection of the plot line itself, right? The plot theme changes upon each season, and I thought that's really cool. It's making it a very dynamic anime that people can follow, What do you think?
I'll come clean right now that I didn't watch all of it because I thought it was insufferable. The reason why I don't like it is it's really not my thing. Like, I don't like anime which have no hope, and I think Attack on Titan takes that to the extent.
Right.
I like to see some hope, even if it's in it's in a dystopian setting.
Right.
I really do like to see some hope, and it's just here the hope is just Eren just yelling, and I don't know, for me, I also, one more thing, especially when I went into season 2, I just feel like the directors just spent 5 minutes of every episode. I think they scheduled in 5 minutes of every episode to have random people getting killed that are pretty pointless because you don't even know their names, or even if you know their names, you literally learned them like 1 second ago and they just died right now and in the most brutal way possible.
Right.
And I don't find that entertaining at all.
Right.
Like, like some of the scenes I definitely understand that you need to drag it on for the especially the first episode, the very first episode when Eren's mother gets brutally murdered, and that's a very touching scene, and I think it was handled very well. I absolutely agree with that. But after that, it just kept happening to random people again and again and again and again. And
I feel like even the storyline, it had a lot of interesting characters who kept dying, like you mentioned. You know, you just got to know about them. You barely got the chance to make an association with them like 5 minutes ago, and then when you start liking them, I mean, you lose the hope that you should be investing in these characters, you know.
What? I legit don't even remember those character names apart from the usual Eren, Levi, Mikasa, Armin. Like, I don't even remember their names.
Yeah,
because
at some point you just give up at...
exactly. I felt like this is an anime where remembering their names will do me no good because they'll probably die the next episode. But also, they really did not have any characteristics that really stood out. The only side characters which I remember who had a personality was Sasha.
Sasha.
But yeah, I mean, honestly, I felt like they didn't have strong personalities. What do you think about that?
Right. I think there were interesting tangents that they could have taken, but I think Isayama was hell-bent on keeping it short or like keeping it very story driven.
I think he kept it very story driven.
Right.
Which is why I agree, the story is amazing. I don't necessarily want to consume it through the anime. I'd rather, either read the manga, which is also a lot of effort, or just read about it online. People make, podcasts and YouTube videos about it. I'd rather look at those.
Yep.
Because
actually, yeah, shout out to all the creators who are talking about Attack on Titan, doing an amazing job.
Exactly. Filling me in so I don't have to sit through 5 minutes of killing. But yeah.
I actually did watch a lot of all the seasons. Like Oak mentioned, there were parts of season 2 that I found insufferable as well, but I did sit through all of them. So.
I didn't sit through them.
Yeah. So I can say for sure that season 1 had drove home the fact, right?
Yeah, I mean it did its work. Yep. I mean its job was to sell the people from episode 1, and it did that absolutely.
Yeah. And there was no shortcoming in terms of storyline anywhere in season 1.
I feel like it gets really boring in the middle sometime. Like, honestly, I do, because they really drag home the whole the trust part of it, right. And then Eren yelling. I don't know. I think it got really slow in the between.
Right.
I think the first few episodes, I think, was until they pass their training. I think I found it really good, and of course the moment where Eren is like, oh my god, there's hope now, and I told you, I feed off of hope from the characters. Yep. So when he said, oh my god, there's hope now, I'm like, I think it's gonna go well from now on. So I was also invested, and then immediately then you have that moment where the Titan just comes up behind him, and that moment is amazing.
Amazing in terms
I really like that moment, but after that. Yeah, things just go down. It just gets really, really boring for me, at least, because people just start dying again without any reason. I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, but this is not a complete roast on the show. You do have good things to say about the anime, right?
Yeah, the anime itself, I think, was directed, produced very well. I especially like the color tones that they went with.
Yep.
Like, if you look at dystopian anime, it has especially this one has a very beige tone to it, and it really drove home the angst, the dystopia of just living in that world.
If you haven't kept an angst count yet, we're at 5. So that's a good point. Elaborating more on that, like you said, it is a dystopian themed anime, which is, there are a lot of parts in the anime where there is no hope at all, and but personally I feel like Eren's character in season 1, season 2 and season 3 actually, but season 2 and season 3 gets a little bit more realistic as a character, but season 1 is major MC vibes, and
oh my god, the way he yells so much,
he is just determined to make a change in the world. And I love characters like that. It's not even funny. I by default love characters who are just like, I'm going to be brutally stubborn, I'm gonna get my way in any way possible. And he's so driven by, he has a motive, right? So, the whole dystopian element in this whole anime, and speaking on color tones like Oak mentioned, I like the brown theme. I feel like the contrasting is made for the dystopian anime with the colors.
Especially like, I think when they reach the sea.
Right.
There's so much color into, like, you know, and I think that's a very good, like, it's so good, like, you just feel the hope that time. I don't know.
It's a very significant moment in
especially I just want to go on record and say I love the sea moment, and it was so heartwarming because they went through so much, and them reaching the sea was the highest point of Attack on Titan for me. I kind of literally went downhill from there.
I personally felt like that was a very pivotal moment, and I really liked
like almost I feel like it's a different anime from then on. Like they
sure.
reach the sea and then they're like, let's forget about everything that happened till now, let's do something else.
So in terms of plot lines, there were a lot of like we said, there were a lot of each season had its own plot line. There were always twists in each season that would blow your mind, and you'd just be like, oh my god, there is a rapper that you have to remove here, there's a rapper that you have to remove here, and then in season 4 it's a completely different story.
It's completely different, but I mean, listen, I think we saw the Bertolt and Rhino thing coming from a long way. Especially when we realized, Annie, when you realize that Annie is a traitor, I think that's when we knew that twist. But then the way it's handled is so weird for me. Like, was it Bertolt or Reina who straight up goes and tells Eren, you know what, I'm actually the Colossal Titan. That is so weird for me. I don't know how to feel about it. In one way, it's kind of iconic, but the other way, what the hell? I don't know.
The thing is about the plot line, another thing that I found really interesting was Eren finding out that he actually secretly has Titan powers, That was a very good plot line for me in my head, The next obvious step for me would be to think, okay, this guy, he's gonna find a way to fight with all the Titans, and they're starting to invade their little settlement. And
for me, honestly, him turning into a Titan, I'm like, oh man, because you see like little people fighting the Titans. For example, even in the fight scenes, right? I have like zero interest watching Eren beat the shit out of Titan in Titanfall.
Personally, I love that.
Like, I feel like, whatever, I guess he's fighting. Because when you see actual humans fighting a Titans and winning, like either Mikasa, sadly we have only 2 characters who can actually win, which is Mikasa and Levi. I guess Armin also a little bit, but he doesn't fight through actual physical fighting. He fights through wits. That is different. But when these small guys can stand up to the big Titans, I think that is cool for me. Eren is also a Titan. He's fighting against the Titan. So it levels the playing field for me.
Personally, the tangent I thought that this would take was that, okay, there are little people who are fighting. Sure. But there is extra hope because of Eren also having Titan powers. Because he naturally... We're expecting there to be thousands of Titans out in the world. Eren can't be the only one who fights all of them. This is where you say, okay, fine, humanity's strongest heroes also have this one-up with the Titans, and this guy's gonna he's gonna be an ally to them,
Yeah, I know that, but it kind of makes it less interesting for me. I would have preferred, at that point at least, to see little humans going up against Titans, just with the the power of wits and technology, and I thought that would have been a very good story.
I mean, how much technology can you have in a small settlement,
I mean, come on, it's an anime. Things can go, you can do whatever you want. When humans versus vampires, you turn into a vampire. Humans versus ghouls, you turn into a ghoul. Humans versus demons, you turn into the demon. I don't know, that was just overdone for me. It's every plotline just goes the same
Understandable.
way. But for me, not only did they have a very canon reason for him to turn into a Titan, that was the main point of the story.
Coming to that though,
so I think that they totally subverted my expectations there, definitely.
Yeah, as a counterpoint, I completely like this entire trope of, okay, in a world of goals, there is a goal who is completely different from all the goals, you know. I think that kind of shows how the MC himself is trying to tackle with the world as well as who he is as an individual. And now that he's put in a situation where he's forced to, you know, be the thing he hates, how he tackles with that whole thing and how he drives the plot line from there. So I think it's a very interesting back and forth with that. And I really personally really enjoy, as much as I love Mikasa fighting and Levi fighting being a very prominent favorite, I also love the part where Eren thrashes Annie. That whole animation was just really good.
Different points of view there.
Yep.
And for me, one thing I do have to mention was in season 1, it becomes apparent that, you know, someone is definitely keeping them within the walls for a reason.
Yep.
And I honestly thought it will take like a very Squid Game turn where it's like, yeah, I guess the rich people just wanted the poor people to suffer.
Right.
Like, I honestly thought that would be the reason they come up with.
Interesting.
There was a much better reason for that, and like, it was a very good reason. So
Yeah.
they obviously subverted my expectations there, like, completely. So I have to give props to that.
Yeah. And like you said, there are multiple layers where they unveil the plot line itself. Like, there is a plot line, you know, that they're hidden inside the walls for a reason. And then they find a way to go out, and they see that the reason that they find is not, they come back, and season 2 will be about that reason. Okay. But season 3 gives you a completely different idea as to there is a bigger picture to the big picture.
I think the bigger picture to the big picture is, I think, what makes Attack on Titan.
Yep.
Because in the beginning, it just seems like this is the plot.
Yep.
And, you know, when you think about it, it's going to go one way.
Yep.
But it absolutely just uncovers something way bigger. So
There's not just like one or two big picture thing. There are like 5 different layers, and season 4 is a completely different layer. Season 4 part 2 probably is a completely different layer.
Can't say.
We can't say, you know. But let's also not forget that the progression of the story, it doesn't make it seem odd, right?
I can't agree on that, honestly.
Okay.
Because, I mean, when they should have been, like, you know, conquering Valmaria, they instead they go on a completely different tangent with the whole royal family, and I'm like, doesn't the Survey Corps have like different priorities right now?
But that was essential for the plot.
It was later, it's essential for the plot to find out, so I understand. But then Survey Corps did not know anything about the royal family or any importance of the royal family.
True.
So why did they go off on the tangent for making Historia the queen?
That's completely
because
true.
They should be really focusing on what the task at hand.
Yep. The watchers and manga readers, it felt like a huge break.
For me
which
at least.
ties together eventually, but it'll be so dreary without when you're watching it without knowing where this is going.
Yeah, but the thing is, even they don't know. Even the Survey Corps don't know where it's going.
Makes sense.
So for me, I just felt, talking about plot holes, my god. I have a few. I don't know if it's a plot hole, honestly. Like, since you are a anime watcher, you can fill me in on some of these things.
Personally, I still feel like manga has more information than the anime, but sure, go on.
The truth about the Attack Titan, so as we've seen in season, I'm very specifically referring to season 3 part 2, where Eren is having this dream, like right after they go into the basement.
Yep.
So he's able to. So the Attack Titan is able to see the memories of their predecessor.
Yep.
Right. Eren had the Attack Titan from the very beginning. Why did he see this memory only after going to Shinganshina? They made this huge thing about going to Shinganshina because the secrets are there. But he would have known this if he had seen the memory before, right?
There was also the element that he had to touch someone with royalty,
which happened long back, right? Like, which he touched Dina, Fritz.
Yep.
So why did he not realize what is there? Like, he should have realized the truth about the world. He should have realized the conversation between Eren Kruger and like everything. He was supposed to see everything Grisha saw in that moment.
Right.
Why did they make a huge deal about going to Shinganshina? In fact, they didn't even have to go there.
Maybe I think this is more of a story thing than plot hole thing. He was trying to paint the picture.
Yeah, I know why. Like Hajime Isayama did what he did, because obviously if Eren knew at that point, there's no story to tell.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's just prolonging the story, but there's no reason.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. If there's another reason why Eren could not have got these memories before going to the basement, please let me know. Let's talk about the whole Armin versus Erwin moral dilemma, which is pretty much the focus of season 3, part 2. What do you think of it?
It really makes it brings in the element that in a dystopian world where everything could be is going wrong and people are trying to make the right decisions, but naturally they're going to have to make very hard calls at a lot of points.
Yeah.
It's one of those moments where the moral dilemma really comes through. It's driven home. It's one of those decisions, like I already mentioned. So this whole idea of bringing in a moral dilemma is tastefully handled by Isayama. And I really love the way he approaches it. It's not only that you know different perspectives from all the characters in the show, but you also understand that tough calls need to happen and you can't pick a side, but a side will be picked.
I have to say that the moral dilemma definitely it was the highlight. I mean, it was not just the highlight of season 3 part 2, but then it kind of drove it to being the number 1 spot. Like it's given a very high rating, I think, because of that.
Okay.
But I understand having that moral dilemma as a plot point is really good. But then the way it was handled was so weird for me. I don't know. I understand that Levi is making that decision, and I totally Eren and Mikasa definitely want Armin to be the one chosen.
Yep.
And Levi even says, "Hey, choose Armin now." But then that random guy just comes again. I don't know who he is. Is he seen before that ever?
Who are you talking about?
The guy who saves Erwin and he gets him to the...
I don't know, I'm unable to recall.
It seems like some random person, like a normal dude.
Right.
Like, who's going to probably die the next episode. It's a normal dude. He just gets him and then he's like, yeah, change of plans. It's going to be Erwin, which obviously makes sense because he's the commander. And at that point, I understandably, Eren and Mikasa are acting super whatever. But then this random dude goes on, has his own opinion about I'm the bringer of devils or something. I'm like, why is that even required? It's so weirdly handled. I don't know.
If it wasn't clear yet, Oak really loved Erwin. There's so much passion coming through.
No, I have passion with that random guy saying some random shit.
That is true.
He's saying, I have decided that I'm the bringer of devil. Actually, I wanted to kill Erwin, but then I thought I should bring devil into the world. So, what? Shut up. What the hell is that shit?
So I think the whole decision making process, why I thought it made sense was because Armin, so Levi himself says this, Erwin, though he's the commander, we know that Armin's equally a good, smart, witty guy, but who has wits, sorry. And we also know that Erwin as a commander is really pro at doing his job. But Levi assesses this as in the following ways, that Erwin's already fulfilled what he wanted to fulfill, and that this is as far as he wants to go, and it makes sense if he over Armin, who has a lot more that he wants to accomplish. Plus, he has the qualities that could, fill one shoe, if not 2 shoes, of Erwin,
No, I totally get it. I'm glad they chose Armin because honestly, my favorite character in Attack on Titan is Armin, not Erwin. But then, in the world, imagine choosing some kid over your commander. It just doesn't make sense. Which is, I think that's the whole play on that, where Levi, like you said, he decides that as a friend, I will let him go, which is perfectly handled. But what they should have done from the beginning was, it's Levi's call, all of you just move away. And honestly, at that point, I wanted Bertolt to give his opinion. He's just standing there. It'd be really funny if he's like, I'd rather be killed by Erwin at this point or something like that. I really wanted his commentary because the only time he opens his mouth is when he's about to be eaten and he says, Taskete. I'm like, shut up. I really wish he'd have said something witty at that point. It'd be really funny if he did. But Attack on Titan is not that kind of an anime.
Yep.
You can't expect JoJo things in Attack on Titan.
Of course.
Yeah, okay, but let's talk about other things other than the plot.
We didn't get to season 4 yet, though. Season 4 part 1. because there are a couple of things we need to talk about in terms of. I love the contrast that Mali and Eldia through in terms of how the world works, in real life. There is a Mali, there's an Eldia, and there is a huge war happening between them. Everyone wants to get the better of the other, and but this is a dystopian take on something that is present in the current world. What do you think about this whole thing?
And I'll tell you what I really like. I like the fact that there is no, like, the truth is convoluted on both sides, and that is
true.
That is the way they handle that is really good.
Really good.
Because the revolutionary, what is that called? Patriots. They have their own narrative going that no, Eldians were actually doing a favor to the world. They weren't killing anyone. And then the Marlians had their own different narrative, and that was really nicely handled. I definitely like that.
And considering these two are just two nations in the whole world of Attack on Titan, it's just two nations which determine most of how the fate of the world. It's very strange. Don't you see the contrast between
real world?
Like, it's Mali, Eldia, but their war takes the progression that changes the fate of the entire world that isn't Mali and Eldia.
That's true, I guess. But honestly, the addition of other nations seemed a little bit weird for me.
Yeah.
Like, irrelevant for me as well, because they don't really get much progression.
Yep.
So I found it a little bit weird. But yeah, but I see where you're coming from.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was pretty cool. So I think that covers all the plot line related conversations. So
yes.
Let's sidebar. I think there were a lot of naked people in this anime, but I don't know how this was classified into shonen. So.
No, but honestly, like, see, it's the way it's drawn. If you see some of the anime which don't even have fan service, but the camera just angles exactly near the boobs, or the angles exactly near the crotch region. I think that is more, fan servicey than this thing.
Right.
Where they don't highlight those features.
Yep.
Even though they're naked, it's not highlighted. If the Titans had the form of animals, just for example, and not like humans, like a Godzilla, I don't think it would have had the same horror element of watching a huge human just eat other humans. Like, I think the horror comes from it being so just humans.
It's
like,
a very strong parallel with humans.
Exactly. Like, I think it's so horrifying to see humans eat humans.
Yep. I'm telling you, I think all the animators had a ball of a time trying to not. So, like, they had to draw the puny humans correctly, like with the dimensions, but with Titans, they could go absolutely crazy.
I know.
Make them have weird shaped heads, weird shaped hands, and
exactly.
Then. Oh my god! I think it was a huge shock though that every Titan was naked. And
they could have handled it with having, like, large breasts and making them, like, their figures very curvy and all of that. But
I think that happened with Annie, right?
I don't think so. Like, I mean, she had a female figure. That's pretty much it.
Titan was pretty hot.
What the hell, dude? Okay, Sasha revelations number 1. Sasha moment. That was very Sasha, like in character Sasha.
Oh my god.
Weird. But yeah, but I don't think it was accentuated more than it should have been. But if they took that route, just because it'll probably get in all the fans, I think it would not have had the same impact, the horror impact that it has now. So I'm glad that they kept it as is.
Correct.
They don't accentuate the body.
Yep.
Like, more than that is necessary.
Yep. It doesn't take away from the story in any way.
Exactly. And it's animated beautifully.
Yep. Oh yeah. Hats off, guys. Hats off to all the animators and the MAPPA studios.
With studios, just absolutely. Like, they do an amazing job.
Yeah. Oh my god, they're so overworked, and I mean, this is just an anime that keeps on giving.
It does. I think, yeah, coming to openings,
right.
I think openings are pretty iconic.
Oh, openings and closings. The OST in general.
I think the first opening, season 1, opening 1 is the most iconic.
Guren no Yumiya.
Yeah, I think for me that is the most. All of the others are kind of exactly like the first one, but then I like the first one the most.
Yeah, it stuck with me as well. But I think each season had a very significant, very prominent opening and a closing. So hats off to that as well. I mean,
sound design, and it's really good.
It's
Like,
really good.
They put in the effort.
They really did.
I mean, we have to give them that. It's really good.
Yeah. Crunchyroll bloody crashed on the first day that season 4 part 2 first episode came out. Like, they had 5 million concurrent viewers. Yeah.
It's obviously, I mean, it's huge, and we're glad it's huge.
Yep.
The character designs are so good. Like the uniforms, it becomes so iconic. Like I feel like everyone just has a Attack on Titan, the Survey Corps hoodie or something. I need one. I don't have one.
Yeah, you can't watch the final season without a hoodie or without the merchandise, basically.
Yeah, you need the merch, man. And the logos are very, very distinctive.
Yep, that's true. The action element in this anime, aside from the Titans fighting each other, just the concept of how the humans figured out how they should fight the Titans.
That's crazy.
That's creative. That's peak creativity. It's like creating Quidditch, you know? How do you think of the rules? How do you think of how things work in a completely new, you know?
Which is also what I thought. But then when you think about it, the king of Eldia randomly one day decided to put them through this hell.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you could have given them all the tools, but then you didn't, which is so weird. Because he wanted to just live in peace.
Live in peace. I also like coming back to a little bit of point here with the Malians and the propaganda that you mentioned previously. I love that there are Eldians who hate Eldians.
Yeah, because that prospect of internalized hatred.
Yes. But there are no Malians who hate Malians.
No, that's the thing, right? Like, internalized hatred comes because of this propaganda that is fed to you.
Yeah, but given that Eldia was like the more superior race, they won the war and everything, before Mali had the power, it's really funny that there were people, that Malians still ended up having Eldians who were fed all this propaganda, and eventually it drives the plotline in some way.
I don't really know what the exact state of Mali was before the king of Eldia decided to go to paradise. But I don't think they would have been they would have probably been oppressed, but they probably wouldn't have been fed propaganda.
Right.
We don't know.
Yeah, I think they didn't see the use in Eldians until they found out that Eldians could turn into Titans,
That's true. So they kept them. Yeah, and it's kind of messed up. But coming to, we both have read the manga.
Yep.
Till the end.
Yep.
And we know what's coming. What do we say to the people who who don't know the ending yet?
Oh, you are in for a treat.
Well, I think it's going to be controversial, but let's see.
Yep.
There's going to be a lot of discussions. That's for sure.
For sure, yep.
And I think we should make one episode after it ends.
We'll come back with another episode after the ending.
Yeah.
Where it's completely spoiler filled. But everyone's caught up.
This is your notification to catch up right now. Because we're coming back.
Yep. That concludes our episode on Attack on Titan. We really hope you enjoyed this segment. And
please follow us on social media. Instagram at the Anime Cast,
and Twitter, the handle at the AnimeCast1.
Thanks for tuning in. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.